Anyways, moving right along, we're going to bring in Anthony Cucci. One thing, Anthony, that I think where people do a disservice for themselves is just thinking of you just as a home inspector. You are a business owner, and you own a pretty big business, and I tell people that the conversations that you and I have had over the years, just about business. I have a business. I run a team. You have a business. You have a team, and I just tell agents you're in a better position if you're able to sit down and have a conversation. I have my son call you.
Yeah.
My son's he's starting an AI business. And I'm like,
he's smart.
And he's like, thank you. Gets it from his mom. He's like, well, who should I meet? I go, you need to meet Anthony. So I appreciate you taking the time with him. So we're going to talk about what home inspections taught you about building a team in a business. You sent me this, and I wanted to start with this. I just pretty much copied and pasted it, and then we'll get into the bullet points. But I love this. And where are we going? Where's this conversation going today?
Yeah, I think I learned very quickly that I wasn't building an inspection company. I was just building trust at scale, right? And I think, a lot of people look at the inspection process and they look at, what I do, and they think, well, he knows a lot about houses and new builds and stuff like that. For sure I do, but over 11 years, I've learned some things about how to assess risk, how to solve problems. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all in business of doing, right? We're here to solve problems. And it's really taught me how to make better business decisions focused on like real wins, right? Like actual wins that matter instead of just, the casual low-hanging fruit. And we'll get into that in a little bit.
All right. So let's start with point number one. Tell, teach, and show.
Yeah. So I look at this from two aspects, right? So from the first aspect, I think you build a business and you most people hire too late, right? They're already swimming, they're already drowning, and they're like, I need somebody, and they hire somebody, right? But they don't have enough time. So they're just like, hey, I need you to do this. And they're telling them what they need them to do. I need you to pick this up for me. I don't have the capacity. A little bit later, they find out that they're not doing it the way I want them to do it, right? And they're like, oh, let me show you how I want it done. And in a couple of weeks, you're still having a really tough conversation because it's still not really the way you want it done. Most people don't focus initially on processes, procedures, what works for your team and what works for you, and establish that. And if you can do that and you have a process and procedure and you can show them along the way, let them shadow you for a couple of weeks, it goes way further, right? So our team, they shadow us until they're comfortable. Some guys, it's 2 weeks. We've had inspectors shadow other inspectors for 3 months, and we sit there and I walk roofs with them and I show them what to do. The other part that I look at it from is like a team lead point, right? Like you can tell somebody, hey, you need to make 100 contacts a day or 500 contacts a week or whatever your metric is, right? And then in a week, you do a follow-up. You're like, hey, did you make those contacts? Nope. Okay, and you have a hard discussion. You can teach them, right? You can give them scripts, which I hate scripts, by the way, but you can give them scripts and you can, show them how to dial, and you can tell them that you save 2 to 4 every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for cold calls. And then in 2 weeks, you're still going to have a tough conversation. Say, hey, did you reserve that time slot? Did you make those calls? Or you can show them, right? You can schedule cold call days. You can let them listen to you. You can walk through the process with them, have them hear how to interact with a potential client on the phone. And I think showing goes a long way. And I think people lose focus of that, and it's not like a central part of their process, and it needs to be.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, and it's just that quandary where I know I need to hire someone, but I don't quite have the budget. And then when I have the budget, it's kind of too late, because now bringing that person on and training them and so forth it becomes very stressful. But I tell everybody, whether you're bringing on a TC, a marketing assistant, or whatever the case is, you need to. And this is what I do, is I sit down and I'll spend I'll spend a couple weeks on this maybe, kind of just revisiting it, but put down on paper exactly what I need and what I'm looking for rather than trying to create the job as we go.
Yeah, you have to identify the process, right? And so what I tell people is know what you're really good at and hire for the things that you're not so great at, right? Like if you're great at at relationship building or market, whatever that is, do that. And then hand off the stuff that occupies that time for you.
One of the sayings, I think it's one of the worst sayings in the world, is identify your strengths and weaknesses and work on your weaknesses. To me, that is stupid advice. I'm going to double down on my strengths. I'm going to
Yeah.
double down on what I'm really good at, and to your point, I'm going to hire where I'm not so good at.
And I think you got to realize really quickly what what's failing, right? Like I think it's a re-identifying process over and over again. Like we grow really fast. And I think at our peak, we were in 12 states and 20 markets. And we learned really quick that not every market's for us. And then you have to be able to accept that. Like you have to be able to take a step back and say, hey, this isn't working and reassess.
Yeah, if I had to be, yeah, that's probably my biggest, always been my challenge of not getting out of something quick enough because I'm like, oh, I know it could work. I know it can work
Yeah.
if I just tweak this, if I just tweak that, and and it costs money.
And when we first launched, I was the same way with hiring people, right? Like I was so critical of who we hired and how we hired, and they had to and what I've learned is you hire fast, but you fire faster, right? Like, and I say that, but we have really low churn. I think our average is like 6 years with us, 5 years. I think our least tenure is 5 years now. So yeah, constant worry about the big stuff.
Low churn helps with the processes you have set up. And I think that's one of the hard things, as you talked about. Hiring fast but not having a process, you're going to be firing fast too, because that person's going to be just as lost as you are. I mean, to your first point, I think what you've done is the right way to do it. You show someone how to do it, you let them do it, and then they teach back to you how they're doing it. So now they can walk away with a full understanding doing it themselves. But it's that recognition of when you need to hire is where a lot of agents have that challenge.
Yeah, we've been working on trying to fire Nick for the last 10 years. So
14.
No, you
I did
started
4
off
years,
strong.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge mistake.
When you were
Okay.
the IT guy, you were
Okay.
doing really good.
I appreciate that. Really quick though, just to go back really fast. So I realized as I was listening to Anthony and Mike talk, I don't think I've ever called Anthony about a home inspection thing. And I talk to Anthony probably once a week. I call him about entrepreneurial stuff, business stuff, like bouncing ideas off of. I don't believe I've ever called you and been like, hey, we have a home inspection issue. I think it's, hey, here's what I'm thinking of doing, or here's what we're working through with the company, or this is what an agent's dealing with. Your knowledge and your ability to answer big entrepreneurial questions, I think is one of my favorite things about you, and that's why I think
We call it business acumen.
yeah, there it is. There.
There it is.
Speechless.
All right, let's get into big problems and low hanging fruit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people focus on the low hanging fruit, right? It's there, it's easy. I can't tell you how many people I talk to when they're first launching and they're worried about business cards and page likes and, paint colors in a house or something like that, right? It's distracting, it's time consuming, and it's a false sense of accomplishment, right? Like you go through your day or you go through your week and you're like, I tackled all these things, but none of them are revenue bearing, none of them are process bearing. Like it's a big issue, right? And so nobody focuses on systems, nobody focuses on hiring process, lead generation. They don't have accountability for themselves. And it leads me to the next thing, right? Like houses and businesses fail for the same reason. I think a foundation doesn't fail overnight, right? It's catastrophic failure is usually like ignored things over time. And so when you lack documented systems, when you have an unhappy employee and you don't address it, when you lose a customer and you don't know why, it's due to deferred maintenance, right? Like you're not holding yourself accountable. You're not looking at the results and wondering why. And I think that, if you focus on the bigger issues, you're less likely to have issues on the back end.
Yeah, I've kind of got this figured out. I could spend the next week keeping myself incredibly busy when it comes to real estate,
It's really
but
easy.
getting nothing done, like nothing of value, nothing that's going to earn income. I agree. Like that's the first thing agents do. They get their license, they get in the business. Okay, let's start social media.
Yeah.
Okay, social media is easy. All I got to do is post. But to be effective at social media takes a lot of discipline, takes a lot of strategy. That's why Nick and I every Monday we do or every Monday once a month we do the new agent orientation. It's like get rid of all of that stuff. Get your CRM. You have to have your CRM. I don't want you out. I tell people don't go out and have a conversation about real estate with anyone unless you have a place to take the notes from that conversation and take the data and put it somewhere and organize it somewhere.
Yeah, I would say if you're scheduling a call with somebody that you've had contact with in the past and you're not reviewing your notes about your last conversation with them, things about them, things about their interest or, what they're looking for, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're not going to remember a million conversations from 6 months ago.
Mhm.
You have to document everything. Yeah.
But I think he brings a good point. I think he said something about coaching or teams or
Accountability.
accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's accountability is key, but it's also having that person who's made all of those mistakes when they got started to sit down and go, okay, what should I focus on, and what don't I focus on?
Having a coach, having someone that's done it before you is super vital. A lot of people, for whatever reason, choose to not do that. Having someone to hold you accountable is a different conversation. You can hold yourself accountable if you have the mindset to do that. But that means, just to your point, Anthony, how would you, if you were the owner of a company, would want one of your employees following up with a client? You would want them to review the notes, make sure that you have a good understanding of the last conversation. But for some reason, we as realtors who run our own business, when we go to follow up with a client, we don't do that. But if we had a boss, we definitely would. So it's that mindset that we need. And if you're not able to do that for yourself, that's perfectly fine. That's why teams exist. That's why coaching exists. Those things are there to help you hold yourself accountable.
And I'll take it a step further. I think, coaching is great. I think agents, when they first start out, they look at coaching, they're like, I don't want to give 50% to somebody, right? Like for the first 5 deals, 3 deals, whatever that is. If you can find a coach in real estate, great. But if not, find somebody that you can bounce ideas off of that, that like Mike said, has been through it and can lead you down a path, right? So I tell people all the time, systems beat talent, consistency beats intensity, right? Like you can be intense for a day, but consistently doing it beats that every time. And at the end of the day, training people and getting a product out, I'd say reputation compounds like interest, right? So like it goes so far.
Yeah, and I think about my coaches over the years. I've been through different periods of my career of building my business, where some of my coaches weren't even in real estate.
Yeah.
They were successful business owners. Something about sitting with another successful business owner and picking their brain, because problems are problems, right?
Yeah.
And how you overcome problems, how you treat customer service is customer service. I don't care if you're selling, watermelons, you're selling water balloons, you're selling houses. Customer service is customer service. And so, yeah, it's just for me, it's just always having a coach. And if you know someone that runs a very successful business, may not have to pay for it. But back to the 50%, 0 plus 0, Anthony, you know what that always equals?
0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've been dying. This one, because I did read your stuff last week.
That's impressive.
Yeah, Uncle Jimmy. Like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this is a good story and not an analogy.
Well, it's kind of both, right? So, I think when you're growing, whether it's a team or a business, you want to hold on to it for so long, right? Because you're trying to find the right person. And, entrepreneurs are crazy. And that's what we all are, right? We're all entrepreneurs. We're the only people that are going to work 200 hours to avoid working 40, right? Like, so, and I think you hold on to it so long because you're looking for somebody that's going to work as hard as you, that's going to put in the time as much as you. And the truth is, you're never going to find that person, right? You're never going to find the person that puts in 200 hours for you, right? But you're hoping for a good uncle, right? You're hoping for somebody that's going to love your kid like a cool uncle.
Gotcha.
And for me, it was Jim, right? So I started this company. My first hire was a guy named Jim. He grew the company with me. We expanded into new markets. And so, and he loved us. Like he loved the environment. He loved what we produced. And, we were fortunate enough to, I think after like 9.5 years, almost 10 years, like he went on and he started his own company. He's got 7 inspectors working for him. We still talk pretty regularly. Like, I think you got to hope for a cool uncle, hope for their success, know what they want to do, help them achieve their goals. and they love your kid while you're doing it, right? And I think, like I said, you just got to hope for a really cool uncle.
I think that's the right mindset to have. The goal as you bring people into your organization, because it is yours, they're not going to do all the things you did to get there, but you need that person who has that level of support. And then if your goal is to make them better, to put them in a situation to open up their own thing, to be good enough to run their own thing, then you're winning. Yes, that's a churn. That's someone you're going to have to replace. But if the mindset is there, everyone gets better. And now you're building foundational relationships around you, and you're not just there as a transactional person.
I've had such huge milestones in my life and my career. I would say probably the biggest. Like I said, I think at our peak we had 86 employees, and I say peak like pre-COVID and all that stuff, right? My biggest accomplishment isn't like the accounts we won, or we have 12 inspectors that started their own company, right? And
Yeah.
a couple people that became like directors of cities and stuff like that. But like I really focus on what they want to achieve, and that's the biggest compliment to me. Like I love the fact that there's 12 guys out there that own their own company, and I had a small part in that. Like that's the win for me.
I agree. That is like for me as a team leader over the years, we've had like I go into this, and when an agent joins our team, is I know that they are not going to be with us forever. I know that. And some team leaders just take it really personal when someone leaves after 5 years. I recognize that. I think when an agent gets to a point, and we've had several agents over the years get to the point where they've left to go and build their own teams, that's a huge win.
Yeah.
And then for us on the wealth building aspect of it, like I love it when an agent gets their first commission check. It's great, and and we love it. But when we have a team member buy their first investment property, telling you like that's like I've done well.
Yeah. No.
I've seen, Mike, you and Ryan have gotten civilians licensed because they were doing so many transactions. So you took it such a step further to help these individuals not have to pay someone else to do it because they were doing it so often. I mean, this is the kind of mindset that you look for. Clint Fouts says it all the time. If you start with the end in mind, and the goal is to make that person better than they were when they came in, you're going to win at every situation you get into with that person.
Yeah, one of the coolest things, we talk about companies and stuff like that, but I had a guy come to me one time, and his whole goal was to work for the city. He wanted to work for the city benefits, all that stuff. He needed a year. He was an engineer, but he needed a year of inspection experience, and he was super upfront in the interview. Great experience, great contacts. So we spent a year getting him experience. He helped me in a lot of different ways that I never even looked at things before. And he's still, like I said, he's a director of facilities for a local city here, and we still talk. It's awesome, right? Like those are cool stories.
All righty, thanks, Uncle Jimmy. All right, most agents are out of focus. Going back to, I started an illustration and I never finished it. Where I could this week, I could spend bunch of time creating, social media content, posting social media content, go to 3 in-person CE classes, and just get bogged down with just real estate stuff. And at the end of the week, look back and go, I didn't have one potential conversation with someone that might want to buy or sell or sell a home.
It's crazy.
And for me, when I reflect on the week, at the end of the week, for me personally, it's how much time did I spend having real estate conversations with people.
Yeah.
And sometimes I go into the weekend going, okay, I did good. Sometimes I went, boy, my wife, who likes to collect handbags and nice shoes, times are going to be tough if I don't get my act together.
Well, I think a couple things there, right? I think you can go into a Saturday saying, "Man, I didn't do anything, right? I'll do better next week." But if you don't have a plan to do better next week, like you already set yourself up for failure, right? So like assessing is great, planning how to fix that is better. And the other thing you touched on was social media. I love this. I love people spend hours trying to record a video, or you look through their reels or their phone, and it's 12 attempts at making this one video, and they spent 2 hours doing it. They got 150 likes. That's awesome. One was your mom, one was your dad, your uncle, your sister, your brother, your 150 likes. None of them are your audience, right?
Right.
I'd rather have one conversation with somebody that's my targeted audience than 100. So we're chasing the wrong things. I think we're out of focus and we're chasing the wrong things. I think the other thing is people look at themselves, new agents that I talk to and stuff. They think of themselves as a salesperson, and you are, right, for sure. There's sales aspects to being an agent, but you have to be an advisor. I think one of the coolest things. What's your title for your agents?
The real estate wealth managers.
I love it. It's, you know why? Because it's not realtor, it's not agent, it's not salesperson. And I think a lot of people don't spend the time to become an advisor, right? And in today's environment, today's market, you have information at your fingertips. People look online and they have information, false information, real information. It doesn't matter, but they have that. They don't need you telling them what they already think they know, right? They need you advising them. So if you're not spending the time gaining knowledge and understanding how to come at it from an advisory standpoint, I feel like knowledge creates confidence and confidence creates trust, and that's the wormhole you want to go down, right?
Well, Nick, that kind of goes back to the 3-pack. I mean, when you're asking the questions or addressing the questions, you do come off as that expert. You do come off as that advisor, even if you're doing it even on social media. That's the position you want. You want people looking to you as the source of the information, as that advisor.
100%. I think that it's what we talk about pretty consistently here, and I think, Anthony, you're putting it in really, really good terms. You don't want to be a transactional person. You don't want to be in this person's life for this short period of time that you're doing a transaction. I know a lot of you on here are like, how does this help with my real estate business? Talking about teams and businesses. This is everything. If you are just in an environment and a mindset to help this one person through this very specific scenario, and you're just going to help them through this question, then this question, you're not going to build a long-term relationship. If you are there to be an advisor, to be a counselor, to be a mentor and a friend through this transaction and every other transaction that this person's ever going to have in real estate, and that's not your mindset, you're going to lose them very quickly. Yeah. This is the goal for every single person that comes across us. We want them to become a foundation in our business for the life of our business.
Yeah, if you're calling me and we never talk about inspections like you talked about, like, mission accomplished, right? Like, that's what I'm looking for. I spend the first 4 hours of my day getting yelled at, and I feel like, I don't know why, but complaints usually come in the morning. People are very spicy when they first wake up, but yeah. And then I spend the rest of the day just having conversations. And if you've heard me talk at office meetings or anything like that, you hear me say all the time, if you're only talking to your inspector, your lender, your title rep at the time of transaction when you need them, it's a transactional. Yeah. There's no value there.
So I'll say this, and I'd love to just get your immediate response. You had made the comment that for a lot of agents, we think of ourselves as salespeople. And if you think of, and it's funny because that's what's on our real estate licenses.
Yeah, for sure.
Salesperson, right?
That's what they teach.
But if you think that you're just a salesperson, you are 100% doing it wrong, because when you get your real estate license and you hang your license and you acknowledge the fact that you are now a 1099 employee, there's no W-2 check coming. I remember we've had a couple agents in the past wanting to know where their check was.
Yep.
But you are a real estate you're a real estate entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And that comes with a whole different mindset and a list of responsibilities and things that you've got to figure out.
Yeah, I think you kind of just nailed it. If you only think of yourself as the salesperson and you're not taking into consideration everything it takes to build and the things that need to go behind that, you're already setting yourself up for failure, right? Like, you have to look at it like it's a business, right? You're growing your own business, right? And I tell people all the time, it's one of the few industries where the benefit is you have enough rope to do whatever you want. And the downfall is you have enough rope to do it, to hang yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And so you just have to get really good at just dialing it in and focusing.
And so what I would say to those agents that are sitting here listening going, oh my gosh, I don't have that mindset. I don't want to do all this stuff. You're good. We have teams that will do all of that stuff for you, and then all you do is deal with the clients. Now, you should still not want to be a transactional person, but all the other stuff that we just touched on, it's okay if that's not your wheelhouse, if that's not what you want to grow. The teams at West USA and around our industry are phenomenal to help provide the other stuff to let you go and do the things that you really want to do. So don't sit here and listen and go, I'm out. I can't do this. That's okay. We have resources for you.
I would say if you're looking at a team, we talked about it already, Mike and I did. You find a team that wants to see you succeed, regardless of whether you were with their team in a year, right? Learn as much as you can. And maybe for some people that's 6 months, for some people that's 4 years. Maybe you create an environment where they don't want to leave, right? But there's nothing wrong with paying to learn, right? I think that's huge.
Yeah. When I started, I got my license. Well, I got my license like, it's so weird, December 31st, 2002. I don't know why.
Wasn't the 1900s?
Yeah. So that was the late 1900s, late 1990s. No, I got my license in 02. So for me, I started in 03. And the first 2 years, I started at 50-50. And we had this scaling model. Then you would reach 60-40, and then at the end of the year you start back over at 50-50. Never once regretted it or complained about it at the time because of the knowledge that it's still with me to this day.
Well, it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? Tell, teach, show. You have to find a team that wants to show you, right? And everything else kind of works out.
All right, the inspection mindset.
Yeah, I think I approach everything like this, and if you think about an inspection, it's easy to go in a house and see bad paint, a hole in the wall, right? But our job as inspectors is to dial it in a little bit, right? Identify the problems that people can't see, foundation issues, truss issues, roof concerns, things like that. We learn to solve problems, not symptoms. And I think if you peel back a couple layers in your processes, you go into everything trying to just dig a layer deeper, a step further, I think it opens up a world of opportunity, right? So your sales are failing, inspect your processes, right?
But going back to the coach or the team or whatever, hire an inspector to go inspect your processes.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. You're dead on, right? Like hire somebody that can hold you accountable until you know what to recognize, right? But if your sales are failing, inspect your processes. If your employees leave or they're unhappy, inspect your leadership. Like internalize that. Like, why are my guys leaving, right? Like I take so much pride in the fact that I have such long tenured people, right? And that's my biggest win, right? Like they want to be with my team. Marketing's not working, inspect the message. No referrals. Time to inspect your experience that you're delivering, right? Inspect first, react second.
All right, so great stuff, and I know this is not what we're here for, but I do just, I'm not even going to ask you. I'm just going to tell you, for our team, we've been using HCP inspections for about probably 5 years now.
Yeah, I think so.
When Ryan and I joined, we had. Yeah, 5.5 years. I can't speak any more highly. I get so frustrated on these West USA Facebook groups where probably once every other week someone's like, hey, anybody recommend a home inspector? I'm like, just scroll down, because it's the same damn answer every single time that somebody asks the question.
I love it.
But you guys do an incredible job. I've never had a bad inspection. And I think the biggest compliment I can always give, because not everybody is perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Nick definitely is not perfect. Is just, you don't shy away from problems. You honor, you take care of things, you take care of the clients, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the friendship and the advice over the years, but I don't know what else to say. If you haven't given HCP a shot for your clients, I think you're doing your clients a disservice. So,
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So there's Anthony's information. If you want to learn more about HCP and have a conversation with him, go grab some coffee with him. I'm sure he would love to do it.
That was great.
Yeah,
Good job,
Yeah,
Anthony.
we got this.
I got new sound effects on the board. I had to use at least one before the end of it.
He's like a kid at Christmas.
I was so excited to push the button.
All right. As a reminder, we no podcast next week, but we do appreciate everybody joining us. We're going to leave everybody with the quote of the day: "Freedom isn't just a privilege; it's a reminder to live with purpose."